All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Jordann Coleman. I am on the board of directors for the MSUD Family Support Group, and I am also a mother to Carter, who is 13 years old with classic MSUD. Today, I'm going to talk about the power of advocacy and really about finding your voice. And why this is so important in this world of being a rare disease patient or family. So just at its core, what is advocacy? Advocacy simply means speaking up. That could be for yourself or for others. So again, self-advocacy is kind of knowing about what your rights are as a patient or maybe for your family and confidently asking for what you need from others, whether that's healthcare system, from members of your community, members of your family, and even in the educational space. There's also system advocacy, and that is for pushing for change in policy. That could be at the state level, that could be at the federal level. There's always things that are out there for the rare disease community as a whole, and a lot of times they do need voices to continue to move that forward. And then of course there is community advocacy, which is just sharing your experiences to educate others, potentially reduce a stigma and just build a network of strength and solidarity with others. This is very common knowledge to everybody here in the room, but as we all know, MSUD is a rare disease. It's not well known generally worldwide. There could be limited medical advisors that know about MSUD and how to treat it once you get outside of your metabolic clinics. But without advocacy and without advocates, these gaps do not close, and we cannot spread awareness about MSUD and other inborn errors of metabolism. So when you advocate, you can have there's a variety of differences that you can make simply by speaking up. Educating your providers. We all have metabolic dietitians and doctors that we work with. However, in our system of care, we come across several other medical professionals that don't know anything about MSUD. Talking about your experience, sharing what works for you or for your loved one can really make a huge difference in how they are treated and how future MSUD patients that these individuals interact with might be treated as well. It can help you improve access to care. I'm sure many of us have had the opportunity to talk with insurance companies and kind of plead our case on why something should be covered with our plan and talking to those people that don't understand what our needs are. But for having that improved access to care really helps to kind of close those systemic gaps that potentially leave other MSUD families or inborn errors of metabolism families without support. Your voice helps drive research. We have people here in the room that are actively doing research within the MSUD space and the greater inborn errors of metabolism space. They're not going to have any interest in researching MSUD without knowing how it affects all of our lives. So sharing those stories, putting your information into the patient registry helps to paint a picture on why it is so important to have these medical professionals and scientists do research for MSUD. And then one of the other reasons we're here is for building community. We all know what it's like to walk kind of alone in a lot of our communities and not have anybody that understands this life with MSUD, but it really does mean so much when you can gather with others that understand what this life is like, with the challenges that we face, when we can have, we can celebrate those small wins and really kind of get together and become a stronger unit as a whole. And that's the power of community, and being here to take part in that community is very important. So you don't have to be someone that has a lot of, monetary resources or time to become an advocate. It can be, incredibly simple. The first step is really just knowing your condition. Many of us know that like the back of our hand for ourselves or our loved ones. So you're already on that path to becoming an advocate. And for the new families in the room, you may not seem like you know your condition quite yet and are an expert at it, but trust me, in a very short time, you will absolutely become an expert in MSUD. Step 2 is connecting with others. Another thing while we're out here, connecting with other people, sharing those experiences, being allies for one another when we face challenges is incredibly important. Educating your circle. So that is your family, your friends, potentially any educators that interact with your child, your medical team, and really just your greater kind of local community. When they know about MSUD, they can help champion you, they can look out for you or your loved one, and you can have additional people in your corner that are familiar with the disease and the challenges that you face, so that you just have an extra layer of protection for yourself or your child. And then lastly, it's sharing your story. Storytelling is incredibly powerful. We're going to have a speaker tomorrow that talks more about advocacy through storytelling. But when you get a chance to share your story with others, with your community, with your loved ones, with policymakers, we can really start to see some lasting change for not only our community here in MSUD, but potentially the greater inborn errors of metabolism community. And just lastly, to wrap this up, your voice really is your superpower. This does not require you to be perfect. In fact, I truly believe that vulnerability is actually even more powerful in the space of advocacy, because it's very real and what people can relate to. But it just requires you to show up, and it requires you to use your voice. Everything that you or your family has gone through really has the potential to help move things forward for the families with MSUD. One of the reasons that I started advocating and got involved with the board for MSUD Family Support Group was knowing that after our diagnosis, and knowing that as my son started to do well and seemed to grow and kind of be on a right path, was knowing that there were several people who decades ago were the ones that were speaking up and advocating to create treatments and to make awareness so that my son could thrive and do well on his own. So it may not seem like you're doing a lot, but really every time you can make a small step in advocating for yourself and for others with MSUD, you really can have a snowball effect that can really help things down the road. So thank you so much, and if you ever have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I am the advocacy lead for the MSUD Family Support Group, and happy to talk with you about how you can, be better in your advocacy, or maybe even advocate at a higher level. Thank you. Thanks, Jordan.